Hello, it is day 42 of living in the tiny house. And I just was thinking as I was moving through my day, doing little chores of daily living, to share my thoughts on like what it's like to live semi off grid and what it's like to live in a smaller space. I think it should be said that when my nervous system is like dysregulated and I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed, I have instinctively throughout my life like sought out small spaces that are low stimulus environments and that sort of I think the small space kind of contains my energy, which makes it more manageable rather than it leaking out into the world and me making mistakes or worse, hurting other people's feelings when I'm not my best. At whatever claustrophobia is, I have the opposite of that. I enjoy small spaces, I find them comforting. It's also extremely easy to keep clean. Maybe you saw my video about sweeping the floors like multiple times a day, which is something I genuinely do. One of the principles of yogic living is shaucha, just often translated as purity or cleanliness. And on the surface, it can be that, keeping your body clean, keeping your mind clean, keeping your environment clean. But it goes deeper than that. There's more of a philosophical approach to shaucha too, which is purity, meaning that your intentions are good, that you keep your mind and emotions, your heart mind, your chitta, free of distraction, free of distortion, and make sure that what you're perceiving in the world, you're perceiving purely. There's no filter that you're looking through. It's about keeping the internal and external environment clean so that you can perceive clearly. And when you perceive clearly, your actions reflect that clarity. So, living in a small space has been good for practicing shaucha, being mindful about how much energy you consume, how much water you consume, how much time you're spending on certain things or projects, including scrolling or watching movies or whatever. Like just being really mindful about what you are doing with your resources. It's interesting, most people I think that live in a traditional house with normal plumbing don't necessarily think about how much water they're using. Maybe they're mindful and they turn off the tap while they're brushing their teeth, or they shorten their shower time, or try to wash all their laundry together as a way to reduce water consumption. But I can pretty much tell you exactly how many gallons of water I can use in a week, or how often I'm refilling the gallons that I use to provide water in the house. So I'm exceptionally mindful of that, not because I'm more thoughtful than other people, but just because out of necessity, if I run out of water, I have to refill the jugs. And so I know exactly how many jugs I have. I know how long it was since the last time I filled them up. It just kind of brings that level of mindfulness into your daily life out of necessity. Again, it's not because I'm more mindful than others or anything like that. It's just the way the process of using water in this house works. Every time I fill up my gallons, fill up about 4 gallon jugs of water at a time. I fill up the 5 gallon container underneath the sink so that I have running water at my kitchen sink. And then I also use some of those jugs of water to fill up my water purifier. And then I empty the water purifier. So I always have 2 jugs of drinking water that's already been purified and 4 jugs of unpurified water that I use for dishes and, things like that. So it's been interesting living semi off grid. You're mindful of how much power you're using, how much water you're using. Another yogic practice guideline for yogic living is svadhyaya. Sva means self, and di is the root for dhyaya, which is like concentration, focus, or meditation or study. So svadhyaya is self-awareness. And this is one of the ways that I practice self-awareness um, and managing my life force, my energy, my attention, my exertion, my restfulness, my nourishment. All of that gets translated into the practice of svadhyaya. Since I started my new job at the Grain Train, which is our local co-op grocery store, I have been exposed more to healthy foods, fruits and vegetables I'm touching all day long as part of my job. And I've noticed that my appetite for fresh foods has gone way up because I'm exposed to it all the time. And my cravings or desire for like sugary foods or like a quick boxed meal kind of thing has gone down. Now, I still use those things. I still consume sugar. I still make boxed rice and things like that. But I'm supplementing those things with fresh foods. So again, svadhyaya and being aware of what I'm putting into my body, what's coming out of my body. Again, living semi off grid with no plumbing, I'm hyper aware of how often I pee or how much food is processing through my body, because then I have to basically kind of directly deal with what's coming in and what's going out. So I'm really enjoying off grid living. It's been healthy for me. I like the amount of attention that I'm able to place on it just through daily living. I'm not doing anything extra. Although I will say that, as opposed to a home that has regular plumbing and things like that, things take just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit longer. Most people just turn on the tap and they have running water. I fill up my jugs and pour it into a container, and then I have a tap. So there's just like a few more little extra steps, but none of them have been a hardship. Another thing I'm enjoying about being here is self-reliance. Because I live alone now, um, anything that needs to get done needs to be done by me. There's no one else to do it. So I think living in the moment, just kind of paying attention to my environment and seeing what needs to be done, what little tasks and chores need to be done. Do I have enough water for the next couple of days? What I'm creating, what I'm consuming, um, what I'm releasing, what waste I'm creating, all of that is sort of built into the day. It's not something that I have to try for. When things are convenient and easy, you can kind of move through them mindlessly. But when things require a little bit more effort or attention to get them completed, then when those tasks require you to focus a little bit more, it becomes very effortless to be mindful about it, because that's just part of the process. I think that living for short periods of time while I was traveling in the truck kind of was really good practice for living in this tiny house. And I also feel like living in this tiny house is really good practice for dreams that I still have about maybe replacing the Ranger with another vehicle that could be camped in or lived in for short periods of time. Sort of a van life, mobile living sort of situation is something I've always wanted. The Ford Ranger was the first opportunity I had to really try that lifestyle out. And I obviously, if you have known me for the last few years, you know how much I loved that. So everything we do is, maybe even without realizing it, is a practice for what's to come. Um, I've been enjoying life. I've been feeling good about the way I'm living, and um, it's really joyful for me to care for this space. It's become, again, really joyful to care for myself, for my body, for my mind, for my nervous system, for my emotions. It's solely my responsibility to regulate myself, to regulate my environment, to regulate my consumption and my waste. I mean, all those things are solely on me now. And so I can't sort of externalize the cost of certain choices that I've made. Everything is on me. And so far, that's been really, really good for me. I have a feeling that there'll be a lot of personal growth that comes from my time living here, however long or short it may turn out to be. Wherever you are in your own life, whether you live in a very typical home, whether you're living with other people, whether you have animals or children to care for, or parents to care for, whatever it might be, see what you can do to just incorporate awareness into your life. I mean, it doesn't really have to be anything formal. You don't have to write things down and make a graph and like keep track of it. Just introducing small bits of awareness into your being can be a way of practicing that svadhyaya practice. Just keeping one area of your house that tends to get cluttered a little bit more tidy as a way of practicing shaucha. Finding ways to incorporate these ancient practices into your daily living is what these teachings are about. They're not about becoming an ascetic and a monk and like living away from all humans and, that kind of thing. Even monks and whatever are humans. I mean, they have emotions, they have thoughts, they have responsibilities, they have body functions, they have to eat, things like that. So yoga and spiritual practice are not just for extremists. They're for everyone, everywhere, all the time, at any age, at any stage of awakening, at any stage of spiritual attunement. These practices are universal and they're for everyone. And I'm really enjoying that those practices that have been meaningful to me um, are coming a little bit more into the forefront of my mind. They're just a little bit more obvious to me. And that allows me to practice things that make me feel whole every single day through my just daily life. So enjoy whatever life you're living and see what you can do to find wholeness in places where it doesn't seem obvious at first. Because if we look, the way we do anything is the way we do everything. Ask yourself, how are you living? Um, I'm asking myself that every day, and I'm finding ways to change. I'm finding ways to embrace previous practices that have served me in the past. I'm finding ways to grow into new practices that I've never put my attention or time on. And yeah, have a wonderful, blessed rest of your day.